our mission is not to define what's local or to define what's sustainable or define what's high quality.
Sure.
We are in this space to verify. So trust but verify.
Hey guys, welcome back to another Rest Eat Move podcast. Today it's me solo in the studio, and I have a couple special guests and a special company that I'll shortly explain. But as you've heard me talk many times, the source principle is one of our foundational principles that we teach. And we go as far as when we're sourcing a superfood or trying to figure out some items that people need in their nutritional day, we want to know where it comes from. We want to know how it's sourced, where it comes from, how it's processed. And today I have a couple special guests, the co-founder of ORIVO, which is a verification that we pay for our cod liver oil, Svein Erik, and they're coming from Norway, so they're on a different time zone, but we wanted to bring them on because one of the things that we really stand for is to make sure that we're bringing the most powerful superfoods from the best sources we can find, and one of the ways that we can do that, other than just to trust us, is to partner with different partners that can verify that. And ORIVO is revolutionary in this space. We'll find out more about, even if there's competition in the space of verifying omegas. But I thought this would be an interesting conversation as I talk about the source a lot, and this is what these guys do. So Sven, welcome. And Spencer is also part of the team. He's on the podcast today, but thanks for joining me.
Thank you so much for having us. This will be very interesting to explore further together with you.
So ORIVO, just for the listeners that don't know much about it, is a verification using a technology, NMR, to verify the origin and species of fish. Can you kind of just explain why you started it, what it is, and what's happening today?
Yeah, I would say companies or brands like you, On Target Living, is the exact reason why we started this company, because there are companies out there that really want to tell consumers, be very transparent with consumers about the source they have in their products, both because that is important per se, but also because there are fraudulent products out there. We started ORIVO, which, by the way, is short for Origin Verification of Omega-3, where it started. Yeah, firstly, we are from Norway. We are from the west coast of Norway, and there is a lot of fish and marine sources here. So our initial idea in 2014 was to help Norwegian fish oil factories verify the origin of their fish oil. That plan failed quite badly. Because we were caught a bit by surprise. All the Norwegian, or not all, many of the Norwegian fish oil factories, they don't use Norwegian raw material. It's a very commoditized on the sourcing level. So sometimes they want to use Moroccan raw material. Sometimes they want to use South American raw material. It's all about price, quality. There is nothing bad about either the Norwegian fish oil concentrate industry or Moroccan fish oil or South American fish oil. It was just us verifying that the Norwegian fish oil does not come from Norwegian origin. That was a terrible business plan. Luckily, we found brands and categories within the Omega-3 category where the origin actually is a key selling point. And one of these examples are cod liver oil. You have cod liver oil from many places around the world, but I would say the Alaskan cod liver oil is a very special and high quality category, and that was a perfect match for us. You have chosen cod liver oil from Alaska for a reason, not right. Because it's the cheapest omega-3 source in the world.
No. That's an interesting origin story. When you hear Norway, you kind of think about it as like the capital of omegas or fish oil. It's kind of like Swiss. You think of watches, but why is fish oil so prevalent in Norway? And what was fish? How did fish oil play a role in your life?
Well, actually, the tradition with when you're a kid in Norway, then you get the spoon of cod liver oil. That's what all, or at least most of Norwegians, they are grown up with that, and it's two different reasons for that. Of course, if you eat enough fish, you actually don't need to take cod liver oil, but it's a given fact that not many people, even in Norway, eat enough fish, at least not oily fish or fatty fish. Today, a lot of people eat salmon, of course, but there are some omega-3 components that you can't find in farmed salmon. So that's why you still need to take your cod liver oil. Another reason in Norway is obviously that during winter you need the vitamin, which is abundant in cod liver oil. So the routine in Norway is taking cod liver oil, especially during winter, because of the D vitamin content.
So I've talked to Spencer several times about this. We offer what we call the essential superfoods that people kind of need to have somebody guide them, steer them. You know, we promote people to eat apples and bananas and oranges, and I don't sell apples, bananas and oranges. But cod liver oil is one of those. Fish oil in general is one of those where there's 1,000 different brands, all different price points. You can get it on Amazon and box stores and drugstores or wherever. And then we have some super greens, which I've talked to Spencer many times. We're challenged right now in that space because there's a lot of bad players. And when something goes into a powder and then in a container, you just have no way to verify. But to stick with where you guys specialize, how much fraud is happening in the omega-3 fish oil space right now?
We check or smell check the marketplace once in a while, and the short answer to that is when checking in certain areas and certain categories, we find as much as 50% fraud. In certain categories where the supply-demand situation is very imbalanced, we actually have found 100% fraud. So no one of the claimed, like especially when you claim one specific species, such as wild Alaskan salmon oil or Alaskan cod liver oil, and other high-valued categories, it can be as much as 100% fraud.
Can you explain that a little bit? So when you're saying when demand is high and supply is short, you're seeing 100% fraud in many cases.
Yeah, and then of course the listeners might wonder what is fraud, because we are the one classifying fraud. There is no, of course you have regulations like FDA, and you have a Federal Trade Act and organizations like that has also some opinions about fraud, which we lean on. But if you, for instance, as you are very clear and transparent in your when promoting your cod liver oil, there is nothing on your label indicating that the product is nothing else than pure natural cod liver oil from Alaska, right? So we target these kind of products that are not ORIVO verified, just to check and see. And then we have, you mentioned the NMR technology, which is basically the same as MRI. When you go to the doctor and scan your knee or your shoulder, you go into an MRI instrument. We just basically put the omega-3 oil into a similar MRI instrument, which is called NMR. And then we get the fingerprint of that fat, and if that fingerprint doesn't match our reference of Alaskan cod liver oil, which we already have mapped, obviously, when establishing our technologies, we might not necessarily know what it is if it's not a match. If it's a match, it's okay, which is, knock on wood, is every time we check your product. But it might hit another category in our reference database, which could be fish oil from South America, or it could be fish oil from some other place of the world. But if people are willing to when supply is low and demand is high, they get creative, and they don't want to change their label, but of course they will not buy something that's like another expensive or let's say a high quality source if they want to make money on adulterating a product. So in most cases they find something really cheap, and the most extreme case is in the global fat marketplace, to call it that, you can get used cooking oils, which is refined and most likely safe to take, but that is also possible to put into a soft gel with maybe some low quality fish oil concentrate side streams, and voila, you might mimic the EPA DHA level of a cod liver oil, for instance. And with traditional testing methods, this would turn out as maybe a cod liver oil, but it's composed of a lot of things you don't want to know. For instance, these used cooking oils, but with our MRI fingerprinting technology, we would clearly see that this is not the real stuff. It's something else.
And I think you make a good point when I look at some of the literature and listen to you in a couple interviews, that it's not always necessary that the fraud creates danger. But the fraud is just not being transparent with maybe how it's gotten into the bottle or into the gel capsule. And it is interesting to me, thinking about our story is, over the last 10 years as we've sourced this product, there's been times where the fish, catching the fish wasn't as fruitful. Supply chain gets disrupted. Think about COVID-19. The last couple of years, Peru has had some failure on the way that they fish, and it's caused the whole industry to be backed up. And so many times, we kind of panic and say, well, we're going to run out. And then, everybody that sells some type of omega-3 says, well, why don't you just do this or put this in the product? And we've kind of stood true to, well, we really want this omega-3 from cod liver oil because of the vitamin D. But it is tempting in many cases as a company, a for-profit company, to keep that stream going. And so I think it's important. One of my questions was around ethyl ester and triglycerides. I don't think many of the listeners know much about that. But one of the things that I think you've uncovered is many times when you do this kind of this fingerprint of the fat, you find that it's ethyl ester versus triglyceride form, which is the natural form of omega-3s. Can you explain that a little bit more?
Yeah, and again, as you say, it's not necessarily, definitely, it's not dangerous to take an ethyl ester. But but first of all, if you promote a natural triglyceride form oil, which is the natural form of omega-3, then of course you do that for a reason, and then you should not put a concentrate into this. It's like if you buy an orange juice, fresh pressed, you don't want that to be something concentrated and diluted with water. Even though concentrates, like orange juice concentrates, it's not dangerous, but you
Right.
yeah. So and that's and then you might ask, why will a brand put ethyl esters into a oil that should be a natural oil? And because ironically, an ethyl ester can be as good, as much omega-3 or EPA DHA as the natural oil, but most likely this is a side stream, something that potentially was not approved for human consumption for various reasons. It's the fish oil concentrate industry. They have side streams that's not applicable for human consumption, and this ends up somewhere. It should end up as biofuel, for instance, but we see that sometimes this ends up at some facility that is not very are happy with cutting corners, and then you can all of a sudden have a super profitable business if you sell this as a cod liver oil.
Oh, heck yeah. I mean, if I was putting in the vegetable oil, it's a very expensive and not easy. It's not easy to catch the cod. It's not easy to process it. It's not easy to bottle it. In our stance and what makes us unique is that we really try to promote the oil over the gel capsule. It's going to be cheaper overall. And most people have never had it before, and that's where they get caught up on taste. But the taste is actually not tough. But one of my thoughts is, as potentially the market gets bigger, demand increases, which we've seen that, especially with some of the facts on vitamin D and omegas, and they're coming back around. But as supply gets smaller, and then there's a lot more fraud happening, what do you see happening with the price of some of these brands? Like in our case, there's some products out there that maybe are $5 to $10 for a container of soft gels, and maybe we're priced somewhere between 40 and 50, and the average day consumer doesn't know much other than looking at the nutritional facts and they look the same. What do you see is going to happen with price, and where do you guys kind of help or hurt or just kind of educate people on the difference?
We are not, you know, even more than us on like retail level pricing, but I see what you refer to is the price level we see all around the world, basically. When it's a high quality omega-3 supplement, it's in the area of at least not $5 to $6 per bottle. But when supply goes down and demand goes up, that's obvious. Crude oil prices they skyrocket, and it's again back to the Norwegian fish oil factory story. Then they start to get creative, not because they are not allowed, because they sell a fish oil concentrate, but then as you mentioned that the Peruvian fish anchovy fishery, it collapsed a couple of years ago, and it does every 7 years because of the El Nino weather phenomena. And then these kind of companies, they need to find cheaper sources because they can't, the little supply of anchovy from Peru is so little, so they need to go to Morocco, to Oman, to other places, and that's okay. That's part of their business. But those companies selling a natural oil, as you can't do that. You have to stick with the source and pay the price that these companies now charge. And then how you handle that, I don't know, but then.
I think it's education. Education is how we handle it. But I buy things, and I have kids, and the dollar's getting stretched more thin, and so you got to make a choice at some point. I do think there's a price that people aren't willing to pay for a product. But I do think there's verifications and certifications like what you're doing that help the consumer. I think I'm not saying it's always right or wrong, but there's some other verifications and certifications on health food products that people trust, have become to value, and hopefully in your case this will be one that really starts to be the gold seal. I think we're one of the first, maybe Spencer could add in here, but I think we're one of the first in the United States to verify our cod liver oil. And so we're proud of that as we look to the future of promoting this product. Not saying there's not other products, but we like the fact that we're standing true to what we're saying. Can you explain when you do the NMR technology, what facts do you get? So when you take our cod liver oil and you test it, what are you telling the consumer is in there? What can you trace back?
In your case, we trace back that it is what's on the label is what's in the bottle, as easy as that. In cases where it's a no match, as I explained earlier, we can say a bit about what it is. If it's a match with some other categories in our reference database, we can say, no, this was not an Alaskan cod liver oil. This was a Norwegian cod liver oil. But that rarely or never happen. As I said, if
Sure.
people want to cut corners, they don't want to cut corners by choosing another good source. They will choose something cheap, and we find in most cases we have an ID. This is a cheap side stream from the fish oil concentrate industry. It could be the used cooking oil. It could be something else. But so what we look for in your oil is a match, basically. And we get that match, and then we see it's still pure. It's only triglycerids, no ethyl esters, as we already mentioned, and then it matches the reference and the gold standard, which is built upon reference samples we have got from trusted suppliers of Alaskan cod liver oil over the last decade.
Yeah, and what I think is cool is the number that's on each bottle for the verification, that you can go on your website, orivo.no, and you can look up and see what it says, or you could look up and see, well, it's not there, or whatever. Maybe you explain what the consumer really should be looking for. Before we got on, we talked about the pet food space, and I'd like to kind of talk about that a little bit. But I think your vision is people can look this up to kind of verify it.
Yeah, and that is that's really important. It's a really good point, because maybe this is very detailed, but the way our verification program is evidence-based. So it's based on actual testing. And then a consumer might ask, what are you testing? Oh, we test the seal bottles from Matt. And they what if Matt flip you fake samples, and then he has like a 90% of his offerings are something cheap. And then first the response will be, no, Matt would never do that. But in theory, yes, he could. So we have a so-called mystery shopper routine. We have mystery shoppers in the North American market buying your product off the retail channels, if it's Amazon or whatever. And we add that to the number of samples per year we actually test. And in your case, there are no like this. This is also a match. So then the consumer can go online. They will have the bottle in their hand, and they will see the expiry date and the batch number on that bottle, and they should find that in the list of verified batches that we have tested. It might be that. And that we see when brands and products get popular, especially in Asia, there will come copy products exactly same packaging or at least similar, but they have failed on the batch number and the expiry date. They have made a number that doesn't exist. So that is one way. If a consumer find a bottle of your product and they don't find the batch number and the expiry date on the online certificate on orivo.no or com, you can use that as well. Then they really need to reach out to us. It could be some mistake that happens, then we will sort that out and confirm to them this is actually verified. But most likely they have bought a counterfeit product, and let's hope that doesn't happen with you. But that's the extra assurance for consumers. And so on the logo, the Orivo logo on your bottles, there is a 4-digit code. So they should use this on our webpage orivo.com or .no. And they will find all the details about your product.
Yeah, I think ours is 1691 or 1690. Yeah,
Correct.
you know what's interesting, and I'm looking at some of your marketing literature, is it sounds like there's something with fat that gives it this kind of finger print ability. Can you kind of talk about that versus other macronutrients? Like, why can't we do the same technology with carbohydrates or with green powders or meat? And I don't know much about that, but maybe explain to me why fat is unique.
So the unique thing with our technology is that we look at the fat as it is. Other testing technologies, they rip apart the fat, and then you can have elements from the fat that are, some elements might come from Alaskan cod liver oil, but other elements can come from other sources. But with our technology, we don't. It's like a non-destructive technology. So we look at the fat as it is. It's a macromolecule, and the NMR testing creates a very unique fingerprint of the fat because it's composed as it is. Yeah, I could go on for many more.
Can you do it with?
Hours.
Can you do it with? Can you do it with other like items? So, again, I'm such a source person. Like, I think it's one of the most important elements to eating healthy is the more you can know the source or understand the source, you start to pay less money for what I think is better results. But like for a while there, hemp seeds, for example, were being said that they're grown in the United States and they're grown in China, or meat. You hear a lot of people say, well, this is U.S. grown meat. Well, it's coming in and then it's sliced and packaged. Like, how much of the other space do you know about, and is there the same type of verification in those other spaces?
Yeah, I can say that where it's grown, if it's like land-based vegetables or superfoods, that is then you can use another technology, because as you say, fat has the NMR technology is ideal for fat because you can look at the molecule as it is. There is another fingerprinting technology which is called it's based on isotopes, the carbon isotopes of that superfood. You have the carbon isotope signature of any given food actually comes from the environment, and if it's something that has been growing, it comes from the soil and even the water that this vegetable, for instance, have been watered with. So this is a very powerful technology we have also started to explore, and we utilize for certain other exploring segments, for instance, probiotics, mushroom powders, and stuff like that. Then we can actually see from where in the world it's been growing. Again, it's fingerprinting, so you need to compare it with something. You need to have like a library of known categories. You need to have something knew were grew in the US and something you knew were grew in China, and then build that reference. But once you have that reference, you can find out a lot about a lot of different foods.
Well, yeah, that's fascinating, because you said earlier about nutritional facts. A lot of these oils actually start to test higher in DHA and EPA, and you're thinking, wow, isn't that great? But yet they're missing the vitamin D or the astaxanthin in salmon oil or polyphenols, the complete thing that it was meant to be.
Exactly.
And so, I see that happening in, our spirulina chlorella. One of the challenges we have is it's like the Wild West. I could go to a marketplace and get bulk green powder, and there's not like a test that you can say this is pure spirulina chlorella. You have to test it in different ways. And so I'm kind of an advocate that we need to get more, USD organic. What does that seal say to me? It doesn't say much to me, but some people trust it. And so as we, I think, continue down this path, I really think we need to stand true on, if something's labeled local, we should really have a way to say, is it truly local? Because you go into some of these health food stores that says local. I'm in Michigan, and the product comes from Seattle, Washington. It's like local to
Yeah.
the headquarters of the company or local to me as the shopper. And
Yeah.
that's as food, we feed 8 billion people. As food has to get more global, I think we have to have different ways to verify it. So I'm very fascinated that it sounds like there's becoming more technology.
Yeah, and we wouldn't. Our mission is not to define what's local or to define what's sustainable or define what's high quality.
Sure.
We are in this space to verify. So trust but verify. Good example on your Omega-3 oil. You have the MSC logo because MSC Marine Stewardship Council they certify that the cod fishery in Alaska is sustainable, and that's good. But there are many examples of products carrying the MSC logo, which is not from an MSC fishery because it's an adulterated product. So again, trust but verify. So
that's what. Again, we're not saying, a lot of our products come from different regions of the world that we think are the best for that product. So, I'm in Michigan. The Great Lakes don't really have oily fish. I wish they did. I could go and catch, but it's just a different way to get this nutrient that many people are missing, the omegas and the vitamin D. So, yeah, that's very interesting. So talk about pet foods. I'm a pet owner. I love my dog Boji, and I know there's many listeners that have pets. And if my dad was here, he probably would have started with that question. I think he likes his dog Floyd better than anybody. But that's kind of one of the areas that you're really going hard in. Can you kind of explain that and why it's important?
Yeah. So same situation in pets. It's just that if you as a human eat a salmon, you don't eat it as a powder. You eat it mostly as a salmon fillet, and it's easier to see that this is not
salmon.
Yeah, this is not partly salmon and catfish. This is actually salmon. But if it's in a kibble, it's impossible to see with your bare eye, and that might actually happen. So it's a picture of the nice salmon on front of the packaging, but then something is happening in the value chain, and there is something else. And then you might say, okay, the dog probably don't bother. But first of all, you as a dog or like a pet parent, you pay for something. You want to have, you want to get what you're paying for. But the special thing with dogs we have learned, or pets, is that they are, since they can't see what they eat and it's in the kibble, it's really important that it's consistent because they get diarrhea. And we know all know that once you as a pet parent have found a brand that your dog can take, you want that to be consistent. You want to know that the next time you buy this big bag, it consists of the same as last time. And that is definitely not happening. We see the same fraud level here when we test kibbles, where especially these monoprotein kibbles or dog food with that's made for sensitive diets that should definitely only contain these specific protein ingredients, because in pet food it's mostly protein we look at. Then we see that the fraud level is also here around 50%. Around 50% of the products offered does not meet the claimed ingredients on the packaging.
And you are just launching this in the United States, the ORIVO certified pet food. Is that what you were saying before we got on?
Yeah, so we are looking into it. We have the ingredient producers on board. We are focusing mostly on salmon in the beginning. So we have the biggest salmon ingredient producers on board in entering the verification program. And then, of course, the next level is have U.S. traders. We are talking with them, those distributing these ingredients to the feed mills, and eventually to have any of these on target livings of the pet space on board to be a pioneer, start educating consumers to dare telling the consumers that be aware, not everything is what you think it is. Start buying from us instead of the rest. It's a sensitive space
Sure.
we are going into, but we aim to kind of copy our concept from the omega-3 supplement space over to the pet food space.
Well, I know your time's important, and I know you're in a whole different time zone, so it's getting close to the dinner time and nighttime. But as I wrap up, what's kind of your vision for the verification ORIVO? And obviously, you're doing some work that's not always easy. Not only is the testing unique, but you got to get people on board with a new concept. You got to get people to invest. You have to get the consumer to want to care. There's a lot of pieces there, but what's your vision for the future of what you guys are doing?
So we have big growth goals, obviously. So and we want to grow together with our clients, because consumer marketing it's a field and a skill that's challenging. Those best at educating consumers is actually our clients like you. So we will Omega-3 has been our like let's say, I wouldn't say pilot market, because we are here and we will be here for forever. But we will scale from omega-3 supplements to all other categories of high valued nutrients for humans and pets. From now and the next 5 to 10 years.
Well, I'm pumped about that. Again, we've frustration's not the right word, but we get tired of kind of explaining the same thing over and over again. And the truth is, the supplement space is still pretty loose. Amazon just came out with 30% of their supplements, up to 30% are counterfeit of some sort or resold and the wrong bottling and expiration. And fortunately for us, we're not that big where people are buying our products by the pallet and reselling it, and we actually have a lot more control. There's only 2 marketplaces that you can really get our products, but I think it's going to continue to be important to verify, talk about the source, and make sure that people are getting what they pay for, because nutrients can be manipulated, as you said earlier. That's not the hard part. Is not to get the right things on the nutritional fact. The hard part is to get the right things on the ingredient list. And I think that's what you guys stand for. That's what we've been trying to educate folks on. And I actually know how we got connected, but it's not like it just is an easy thing, because it's new. What we do is trying to get people to take cod liver oil, although in Norway is an easy feat. In the United States, people look at us like we got 3 heads when we first tell them you're gonna try a shot of cod liver oil in our presentations. So it's important for us to have these partners like you that help us verify what we're also teaching, because that is the mission we're on, is not just to sell product to make money. It's to sell an essential food that we think people should consume. We want to verify that it's the right food. Do you have any last thoughts or comments as we kind of wrap up? And I appreciate your time today.
I think you put that really well, and you let's say confirm my hypothesis that our clients, you, are far better in educating consumers than us. And
as a chemist, you're far better at understanding the chemistry, so I can bring you on to talk the stuff that's over my head, which is really the key. Is we say this all the time. I'm not going to ever be the hero in the story. I'm just the guide. And I think the more that we can surround ourselves with people that are experts in different parts, like I'm not the fisherman, I'm not the ORIVO certifier chemist, but I'm trying to help people navigate their health in the rest, eat, move category. So thanks for partnering, Spencer. Thanks for everything you do as well. as kind of helping me understand the landscape. And I think I'll see you guys potentially at Supply Side West. You guys going there?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Let's catch up there, and we will continue to support you with hard science and evidence-based transparency for your consumer education.
We'll share a shot of cod liver oil at the expo, and
Definitely.
we'll connect in a couple weeks. But thanks, guys. Have a great night.
Thanks a lot. Looking forward to it.
Yes.
See ya.
See you.